The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. The summer I turned pretty. Season 3, Episode 10 doesn't just take Belly's story to Paris, it tears open old wounds, exposes secrets that have been buried for too long, and forces the Fisher brothers into a choice that could change their lives forever. The trailer hints at romance, heartbreak, and betrayal. But most of all, it shows us that no matter how far Belly runs, Conrad and Jeremiah will always follow. And trust me, the life she builds in Paris is about to collapse the second they step into her world. Belly's Paris life looks dreamy on the surface. She has new friends, a new rhythm, even a spark of romance with that mysterious French guy who was impressed with her boldness from day one. She walks through the city as if she's finally free from the shadows of Cousins Beach. But the truth? She's been pretending. She laughs with her new friends, works at the restaurant, and tells herself she's moved on. But deep down, she knows that no new city can erase Conrad Fisher from her heart. That's why when Episode 10's first look teases a letter, yes, the infamous letter, we know exactly where this is heading. Conrad finally reaches out, pouring his heart into words that Belly didn't expect to ever see. It's raw, it's desperate, and it makes her realize that the distance she put between them hasn't killed the love she's been trying so hard to bury. But here's the twist that no one is prepared for. Jeremiah is not just in the background anymore. He's coming to Paris too, and the trailer makes it clear that this is not just a visit. His presence means everything, because it signals one thing. The brothers are about to collide in Belly's new world. This isn't Cousins Beach, where memories cloud their judgment. This is Paris, Belly's safe haven, and now the boys are stepping right into it. Imagine the chaos. Jeremiah has already been painted as the forgiving one, the one who might even give Conrad his blessing. But is that really the truth? Or is this trip about something darker, about making sure Belly doesn't forget that he's still here, still waiting, still hoping she'll choose him? Episode 10 sets itself up as the storm we've been waiting for all season. Belly thought she was reconstructing herself, just like Notre Dame rising from the ashes. But what happens when the very people she was trying to escape bring her past crashing down at her feet? The trailer hints at moments of joy. Friends laughing, Paris lights glowing, Belly smiling like she's finally at peace. But those scenes are interrupted with the weight of what's coming. Conrad walking through Paris streets, Jeremiah at his side, both of them carrying unspoken truths. It's not just about Belly anymore. It's about whether these brothers can survive being in the same place, chasing the same girl, after everything that's happened. And here's where it gets chilling. The fandom has already spotted Conrad and Jeremiah filming in Paris months ago, and Episode 10 is the payoff. Belly's world is about to flip upside down. The question is, will she crumble under the weight of her old love, or will she find the strength to finally decide once and for all who she truly wants? Because if there's one thing the trailer makes clear, it's this. Belly can't hide anymore. The truth is coming, and it's going to break her heart. And maybe ours too. The thing about Episode 10 is that it doesn't waste time pretending anymore. For weeks, we've watched Belly convince herself that Paris was her fresh start, a clean slate where she could rewrite her story without the Fisher brothers looming over her every choice. But now, with Conrad's letter in her hands and Jeremiah's footsteps echoing closer, the illusion starts to shatter. And let me just say, this isn't just another love triangle moment. No, this is the kind of breaking point where every decision Belly makes will either save her or trap her in a cycle she's been desperate to escape. Think about it. The trailer already hints at time jumps, showing us flashes of Belly's new Parisian life, months passing, routines forming, friendships deepening. We see her with Taylor, laughing in cafes, walking the streets like she belongs there. For a second, it feels like she's finally grounded, like she's matured into someone who no longer needs to be defined by Conrad or Jeremiah. But the truth about Paris is that it's only beautiful until reality catches up. And when the Fisher brothers appear in her city, the cracks in her perfect little world grow so wide that even her new friends can't ignore them. Conrad's arrival is heavy with symbolism. He's the letter that turned into a man standing right in front of her. For Belly, it's like her past manifested into her present, demanding to be acknowledged. And Jeremiah? He's not just tagging along to play mediator. He's there with a purpose, whether Belly realizes it or not. The trailer teases his calm, his smile, his support for Conrad and Belly. But come on, do we really think Jeremiah is that selfless? The fandom has been split for years over which brother is the better choice, but what if episode 10 is about exposing the truth? What if Jeremiah's presence in Paris isn't just about forgiveness, but about making sure Conrad doesn't win so easily? The look in his eyes tells us more than his words ever could. And Belly? She's torn, as always. The trailer shows us snippets of her trying to move forward, working, studying, exploring the city, but her heart betrays her. She's haunted by the memory of that wedding that never happened, the promises broken, the pain she tried to drown in a new environment. And now, here they are, the brothers she left behind, standing on the cobblestones of Paris, demanding answers without even saying a word. Episode 10 doesn't need loud arguments or dramatic outbursts to hit hard. The silence between them is louder than anything. But here's the real gut punch. The idea that Jeremiah gives his blessing to Belly and Conrad. On paper, it sounds noble, even beautiful. The fandom wants peace between the brothers, a chance for them to reconcile after everything. But let's be honest, can love really be handed over like that? Can Jeremiah truly watch Conrad take the girl he once believed was his future and feel nothing but support? Or is this blessing just another mask, another way to hide the storm raging inside him? If the trailer is any clue, episode 10 is going to test not only Belly's heart, but Jeremiah's ability to let go. And if he can't, then the fragile truce we think we're getting might explode into something darker. Paris has always been romanticized in American shows, a place of second chances and grand gestures. But for Belly, this city might turn into the battlefield where she loses everything. Imagine the irony. She came here to reconstruct herself, only to realize that Conrad and Jeremiah are the wrecking balls threatening to tear her down again. And the worst part? Deep down, Belly already knows she can't escape them. She craves Conrad, she relies on Jeremiah, and in the end, she might lose both. Episode 10 is shaping up to be less of a love story and more of a reckoning. The trailer isn't just teasing us, it's warning us. And the heartbreak it's promising? It might be the kind that even Paris lights can't soften. What makes episode 10 so dangerous for Belly is not just the presence of Conrad and Jeremiah, it's the timing. She has just begun to believe that she could stand on her own 2 feet, far away from Cousins Beach, far away from the constant pull of the Fisher family drama. Paris gave her confidence, maybe even too much of it at first, when she thought she could walk into a new country, a new life, and have everything fall into place. But months later, after her stolen bag, her new job, and her attempt to build something real in this city, Belly has grown. She's stronger now, sharper, and maybe even more guarded. And that's exactly why the timing of Conrad's letter feels like a cruel twist of fate. It's not just a letter, it's a rope tying her back to a version of herself she thought she had left behind. The trailer teases Belly holding that letter like it weighs more than her entire Parisian life, and in a way, it does. Because once she reads Conrad's words, every wall she built starts to crumble. She wanted to believe that she could bury her past under new friendships and late-night Paris adventures. She wanted to believe that a French romance could distract her from the ache she still carries inside. But Conrad's words hit her where it hurts. The truth she's been running from. She isn't over him, not even close. And the pain of admitting that is almost worse than the heartbreak itself. And then, Jeremiah steps in. Episode 10's first look shows him alongside Conrad in Paris, and the fandom went wild the moment those images leaked months ago. But seeing it in the trailer is different. It feels final, inevitable. Jeremiah is not just an observer here. He's part of the story, and his presence changes everything. If Conrad is the wound Belly can't heal, Jeremiah is the bandage she's been using to cover it up. But what happens when both stand in the same room, both looking at her, both waiting for her to finally choose? That's the unbearable tension episode 10 is building toward. What makes this even more heartbreaking is the way Jeremiah has been framed throughout this season. He's been supportive, forgiving, willing to let Conrad and Belly's bond live on, even at the cost of his own happiness. But let's not fool ourselves. Underneath that smile, there's pain. The trailer hints at moments where Jeremiah looks at Belly with that familiar softness, that longing that never really went away. And while the fandom wants to believe he's giving Conrad his blessing, the reality might be far more complicated. Forgiveness is one thing, but watching the person you love fall into someone else's arms is another. Jeremiah might be smiling, but his heart is breaking in silence. Belly, caught between them, is more conflicted than ever. Paris was supposed to give her clarity, but instead it's thrown her deeper into the storm. She tells herself she's moved on. She tries to convince Taylor that she's a different person now, but one look at Conrad and she knows the truth. She's still tethered to him, no matter how far she runs. And that realization is devastating, because it means everything she built here might be a lie. The trailer doesn't give us all the answers, but the fragments it shows, Belly looking torn, Conrad walking alone through the Paris streets, Jeremiah's quiet resignation, tell us enough. This is not going to end neatly. Someone is going to leave Paris shattered. And here's the cruel irony of it all. The brothers came here together as if to prove they could put aside their rivalry for the sake of something bigger. But Paris is not cousins. It doesn't hold their childhood memories, their family traditions, or the nostalgia that once bound them together. Paris is Belly's territory now, her fragile kingdom. And by stepping into it, Conrad and Jeremiah aren't just visiting, they're invading. The question episode 10 leaves us with is not just who Belly will choose, but whether the brothers can survive her choice without losing each other forever. Because if they can't, then Paris won't just be the city where Belly rebuilt herself. It will be the city where the Fisher family finally fell apart. Episode 10 feels less like a finale and more like a confession that the story we've been following was always leading here. Belly in Paris was never about her escaping. It was about setting the stage for the collision that could no longer be avoided. And the trailer makes that clear with every frame. Paris isn't just the city of love anymore. For Belly, it's the city of reckoning. Every secret, every letter, every broken promise, it all comes to the surface the moment Conrad and Jeremiah step into her world. What's striking is how the trailer frames Conrad. He doesn't look like the boy from Cousins Beach anymore. He looks older, worn down, as if the weight of everything he's lost has finally caught up to him. And yet, when he sees Belly, there's still that glimmer, that spark that refuses to die no matter how much he's tried to suppress it. The letter was just the beginning. His presence in Paris proves that Conrad is done hiding, done pretending he doesn't want her. But does that mean Belly is ready to face him? That's the question the trailer teases but never answers. Jeremiah, on the other hand, is framed almost like a shadow. He's there, he's supportive, he's smiling even. But the smile doesn't reach his eyes. And if you watch closely, the tension in his body language says more than words ever could. He might be standing next to Conrad, but deep down, Jeremiah is still fighting for Belly in his own quiet way. The trailer suggests moments of unexpected tenderness between him and Belly, conversations that feel safe, laughter that feels easy. It's the kind of comfort Conrad has never been able to give her. And yet, when the time comes, it won't be Jeremiah she's thinking about in the quiet hours of the night. It'll still be Conrad. And that truth is what makes Jeremiah's role in episode 10 so devastating. The real heartbreak, though, isn't just in who Belly chooses. It's in how the brothers respond to that choice. For seasons, we've seen them clash, drift apart, and struggle to find their way back to each other. Episode 10 dangles the idea of reconciliation, of Jeremiah giving Conrad his blessing, like it's something noble, something healing. But in reality, it feels almost tragic. Because no matter how much Jeremiah tries to mask it, love doesn't simply disappear because you've decided to step aside. His blessing might sound generous, but it could just as easily be the spark that burns everything down later. And Belly knows this. That's why she looks so torn in every single glimpse the trailer gives us. She knows that choosing Conrad might mean breaking Jeremiah all over again. She knows that even if Jeremiah says he's fine, even if he says he wants her to be happy, that wound will linger. And for someone like Belly, who has always struggled with guilt and self-doubt, that realization cuts deep. She doesn't just love Conrad. She cares about Jeremiah too. And caring about both of them means she's always destined to hurt one. But maybe that's the cruel lesson of episode 10. That no matter how far you run, love triangles don't dissolve on their own. They follow you across oceans, across cities, until you're forced to face them head on. Belly can't escape cousins by moving to Paris. She can't escape Conrad by falling into a French romance. And she can't escape Jeremiah by pretending his forgiveness is enough to heal everything. Episode 10 forces her to see the truth. That love is messy, painful, and unfair. And sometimes, no matter what you choose, someone loses. Paris has been painted as the city of possibility, but the way this story is heading, it might end up being the city of endings. Endings for Belly's illusions, endings for Jeremiah's quiet hopes, and maybe even endings for the fragile bond between the Fisher brothers. Because once Belly makes her choice, there's no going back. The trailer doesn't show us that final moment, but the tension it builds makes it clear. Whatever happens in Paris, it will haunt them forever. If there's one thing episode 10 makes crystal clear, it's that Belly's story was never about Paris at all. It was always about facing the pieces of her heart she's been trying to hide from. Paris just gave her the illusion of distance, the illusion that she could rebuild herself in peace. But illusions only last until reality crashes through, and that's exactly what Conrad and Jeremiah's arrival does. They drag her back into the love triangle she thought she had escaped, and suddenly all the progress she made in this city feels fragile, almost unreal. The trailer plays on this tension beautifully. We see Belly standing on Parisian streets, caught between the glow of the city lights and the shadows of her past. We see Conrad, broken yet determined, stepping into her new world as if daring her to push him away. We see Jeremiah, smiling but hollow, trying to convince himself, and maybe everyone else, that he's fine with being the one who lets go. And through it all, we see Belly torn apart, trying to reconcile the life she wants with the love she can't let go of. It's tragic, it's messy, and it's exactly the kind of heartbreak this story has been building towards since the very beginning. But here's where the real suspense lies. The ending. The trailer doesn't give it away, but it drops just enough hints to drive the fandom into chaos. Will Conrad finally win Belly back in Paris, proving that their love was always inevitable? Or will Jeremiah's quiet strength pull her in, forcing her to admit that sometimes comfort matters more than passion? And what if the twist is that Belly chooses neither? That Paris teaches her that she doesn't need to define herself by the Fisher brothers anymore? That possibility lingers in every frame, and it might just be the most heartbreaking outcome of all. Because here's the truth. No matter who Belly chooses, someone loses. If she chooses Conrad, Jeremiah's heart shatters in silence. If she chooses Jeremiah, Conrad's sacrifices mean nothing. And if she chooses neither, then both brothers are left with empty hands after years of fighting for her. There is no version of this story that ends without pain, and episode 10 knows it. That's why the trailer feels less like a promise of resolution and more like a warning of heartbreak. We aren't walking into a fairy tale ending, we're walking into a storm that will leave scars on everyone. And maybe that's the point. Maybe The Summer I Turned Pretty has always been less about who Belly ends up with and more about the cost of love itself. About how growing up means realizing that love can't fix everything, that sometimes it breaks more than it heals. Belly's Paris chapter might look beautiful on the surface, but episode 10 strips that beauty away and forces her to face the mess underneath. And in the process, it forces us, the audience, to admit that we've been holding on to our own illusions about how this story should end. So when the episode finally drops, don't expect easy answers. Expect heartbreak. Expect betrayal. Expect a finale that leaves you questioning everything you thought you knew about Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah. Because if the trailer has taught us anything, it's that Paris isn't the end of Belly's story. It's just the place where everything unravels. And once it does, nothing will ever be the same again.